Today we continue Ariyavasa Sutta from Anguttara Nikaya. First we have to recite Pali text. Can you follow me? Dasayime Bhagave Ariyavasa Yeriya Avasain Suvam Avasandivam Avasai Sandivam Gadame Dasam Ida Bhagave Bhikkhu Pinjinga Vipino Hoti Chalinga Samanagato Ekareko Chatura Basino Benona Bijega Sijo Samawaya Satisano Anawila Singapore Pasada Gaya Singaro Suwimoda Jada Suwimoda Binyo. We recite together. Dasa ime bhagave riyavasa yeriya avasai suvam avasandivam avasai sandivam kadame dasa ida bhagave bhikkhu Pinjinga Vipino Hoti Chalinga Samanagato Ekareko Chatura Basino Panona Vijega Sijo Samavaya Satisano Anawina Singapore Pasada Gaya Singaro Suimoda Jada Suimoda Binyo. Mahasisya aphorism, can you follow me? To abandon the five factors, to be fulfilled with the six factors, and one protection. To depend on the false supports and to dispel personal truths. To be free from searching, to have pure thoughts, to calm the in and out breath, to have a well-liberated mind and well-liberated wisdom. The fully enlightened Buddha expounded the 10 features of Ariyavasa. So previous Buddha, present Buddha, and future Buddha. Previous Buddha appeared, already appeared. They are Vipassi Buddha, Sikhi Buddha, Visapu, Kakusanda, Konagamana, Kassapa, and countless disciples of the Buddha. Countless disciple areas in the previous time dwelled in this Ariyavasa, the abode of noble ones. During the current dispensation of our Gautama Buddha, Ariyas are still dwelling in this same Ariyavasa, the abode of noble ones. And there will appear countless areas during the dispensations of future Buddha, such as Midya Buddha. The future Buddha will dwell in this Ariyavasa. So there are 10 Ariyavasa. We have to start with the number 1, but in line with the order of practice, we have to start this Sutta with the third features, Ekarako, to be endowed with a single God, so that we can understand the discourse better from practical point of view. So as we mentioned earlier, just as wealthy or powerful people keep guards at their houses to ensure their security, so also there is a guard at the Ariyavasa, the abode of noble ones. So here to explain what a single God means, Buddha posed a question before he gives answer. So Buddha posed a question, Katinja Bhikkhue Bhikkhu Ekarako Hoti. Bhikkhus, how is a bhikkhu practitioner endowed with a single God? Buddha asked this question and then Buddha answered. Ida bhikkhue bhikkhu satarakina cetasa samanagato hoti. Bhikkhus, a practitioner is endowed with a mind guarded by mindfulness, sati. The God at the abode of noble ones is sati, mindfulness. If we want to dwell there, we need to have our every single state of mind guarded by sati, mindfulness. So in this sense, Buddha said, a practitioner is endowed with every state of mind guarded by the mindfulness. Actually, it is only an arahant, a fully enlightened person, who can be endowed with perfect mindfulness. The arahant is mindful of whatever he or she does physically, verbally, or mentally. So arahant's mind is well guarded by mindfulness. Being mindful constantly, he or she never does anything bad, never speak anything wrong or harmful to other people, other beings, and never think of anything sinful. So Arahant is praised. Tassa charato chewa tetas toja sodasaja jagrasaja satatan samitam jnanadasanam pichupatitam. That means whether going, standing, sleeping, or awakening, he is constantly endowed with knowledge and vision. So this quotation includes sleeping, Sutta, sleeping, but that is rather impossible, and it may refer to his or her mindfulness just before falling asleep and immediately after waking up. When he or she totally fall asleep, it is impossible for mindfulness or insight knowledge to arise. For sure, it does not mean that. In any case, we should know that the Arahant always has his or her thoughts guided by mindfulness, no matter whatever he or she is doing, speaking, or thinking of. The mindfulness does not suddenly lead to the full enlightenment, like something that suddenly appears out of nowhere. Mindfulness gradually develops to its peak. Arahant attains perfect mindfulness. Why? Because he had been developing mindfulness since he or she was as an anagami. Thanks to the mindfulness he or she had developed as an anagami. In the same way, an anagami mindfulness is almost perfect, but that is also attributed to the mindfulness he or she had developed as Sakadagami. And again, Sakadagami's mindfulness must also be credited to the mindfulness developed as Sotapanna. Of course, as Sotapanna's mindfulness is very remarkable in comparison with that of Putujana, common people. Thanks to such significant mindfulness, Sotapanna's mental defilements are never strong enough to commit evil deeds that can lead to woeful states. So there are a lot of benefits of mindfulness. You remember, mindfulness is the only way for the purifications of beings. Satana Visuddhiya. That means for the purifications of minds of all beings. our minds are tainted with mental defilements, our minds are contaminated with different defilements. Most of the time, our minds are not pure. When we practice meditation, we can see our mind not very pure. There are attachment or craving, greed, hatred, anger, ignorance, pride, envy, jealousy, etc. Attachment defile our minds. Mindfulness helps to purify our minds. So this is the only way for the purifications of minds of all beings. When you develop mindfulness, you do not have greed, you do not have hatred, you do not have delusion, pride, or other mental defilements, because mindfulness take over. All kilesa are absent when you practice very precisely. Defilements are absent from your mind during your intensive meditation. So very lucky for practicing intensive retreat. When you have reached the destination, then your mind will be totally free from kilesa. By going along this path, by developing your pure mindfulness, you will reach the highest stage of attainment and your mind will be totally pure. Sokapri Devana Samatikamaya. Mindfulness practice is for the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation. Sorrow and lamentation can be overcome by this practice of mindfulness. When you are developing mindfulness, you are instructed to be aware of everything, every phenomena that is happening to you, to notice everything that comes to you at the present moment. When you are aware of everything, then when you observe everything during meditation, mental defilements will disappear. When yogi reach the final stage, you will have overcome sorrow and lamentation together. After you have reached such a stage, sorrow and lamentation will never come to you again. There are many persons, many people whose sorrow and lamentation have been overcome by the developing of sati, mindfulness. Dukkha domanasana atingamaya. By the practice of mindfulness, you can overcome pain and grief. Pain means physical pain and grief means mental pain. Physical pain and mental pain can be overcome by developing mindfulness. Of course, mindfulness and concentration is not too strong. you cannot totally remove, but gradually, patiently, you try to develop, and then you will see that you can overcome the kinds of pain and grief. So when you persevere in watching the pain or taking note of pain, when you have sat for some time and your concentration becomes powerful, then the pain will go away and you will overcome, you will have overcome pain. Even though physical pain is there, no mental pain, so you can overcome by this way. So you can also overcome grief through the practice of mindfulness. When you have reached the highest stage, yogi will have overcome pain and grief once and for all. Nyayasa Adhigamaya. Mindfulness practice is for reaching the noble path. The noble path here means a type of consciousness that appears at the moment of your realization. When yogis realize the truth, there arises in you a type of consciousness that is called Megaceta, path consciousness. It is called path consciousness because when you have reached this stage of consciousness, you can be certain to reach Nibbana on this path. It will surely lead there. So there are 4 stages of realization, and so there are 4 types of Megaceta, path consciousness. Each path consciousness eradicates some mental defilements totally, so that after reaching the 4th path consciousness, all of them are altogether eradicated. So here in the Ariyavasa Sutta, Satta Rakina Citasa, one protection is mindfulness. So we explain mindfulness more detail. Mindfulness, sati. The word sati derives from the root meaning to remember, but as a mental factors, it signifies presence of mind, attentiveness to the present, awareness, wakefulness, and heedfulness, rather than the faculty of memory in the past. And here, yogi practice satipatthana. Patthana means close, firm, and steadfast establishment. So you are practicing Satipatthana, that means close, firm, and steadfast establishment of awareness on the object. So simply steadfast mindfulness. The four foundations of mindfulness have a single essence: mindful contemplations on natural phenomena. They are differentiated insofar as this mindful contemplation is applied to four objects: Kaya, Vedana, Citta, and Dhamma. So in Dhamma, it comprises such factors as Nivarana, 5 hindrances; Khanda, 5 aggregates; Ayatana, 6 bases; and 6 object; and Bujinga, 7 factors of enlightenment; and Satya, 4 noble truths. So let us see the various aspects of mindfulness, such as characteristic, function, manifestation, and the further distinguishing factors of mindfulness sati. So what is sati? The characteristics of sati. Sati has the characteristics of not wobbling, that is not floating away from the object. So it is like a dried, hollow pumpkin thrown into water. The pumpkin will pop up and down on the surface of the water. In the same way, your noting mind should not skim over the object in a superficial manner. Instead, your noting mind should plunge into the object. Just as when a stone is thrown into water, it will sink to the bottom. Suppose you are noting the abdomen rising and falling. It is moving, it is air elements, great elements. It is recommended. So rising, falling, you try to note. You try to be very firm, focusing your attention on the main object, rise and fall, so that your mind will not skip off. The mind will not jump. So your mind will sink deeply into the process of rising and falling movements of the abdomen. As your mind penetrates this process, you can comprehend its true nature: tension, pressure, stiffness, movement, and so on. And the functions of sati is the absence of confusion or non-forgetfulness. This means that the noting mind should neither lose sight of the observation to disappear. So the functions of sati, mindfulness, is to keep the objects always in view. It is like a footballer never lose sight of the football. In the same way, yogi never lose the sight of object of mindfulness, object of meditation. And what are the manifestations of sati? There are two manifestations. One is coming face to face with the object. Another one is protection. The chief manifestation of sati is confrontation. It sets your mind directly face to face with the object of observation. Mindfulness manifests as the mind in a state of confronting face to face with an object or objective field. It is said that the human face is the index of character. So if you want to know a person, you have to be face to face with that person and examine his or her face carefully. Then your judgment will be correct. But if you stand at an angle behind or far away from that other person, then you will not be able to distinguish the distinctive features of his face. So in the same way, when you are observing the rising movements of the abdomen, if your noting mind is really face to face with the rising movement, you will notice different sensation in the rising. You can feel tension, pressure, heat, coolness, or movement. If your noting mind remains face to face with the object for a significant period of time, what you can discover? You can discover a great purity of mind due to the absence of mental defilements. Because at that time, no thinking, no attachment, no depression, no disliking, no other comments, etc. Very pure. So this purity is the result of the second manifestation of sati, guardianship or protection from attack by the kilesas. So that is areka pichupatana. So with sati present, mental defilements have no chance to enter the streams of your consciousness. So here, Ariyavasa Sutta mentioned, Satta Rakhina Chitasa Samanagato. Practitioners is endowed with every state of mind guarded by mindfulness, protected by mindfulness. Sati is likened to a doorkeeper because it guards the six senses: eye door, ear door, nose door, tongue door, body door, and mind door. A doorkeeper is sati, beautiful, wholesome. That doorkeeper does not admit bad people, does not admit destructive people. Sati, doorkeeper, admits only good people, wholesome thing. So sati does not admit unwholesomeness. Sati admits only wholesomeness. By not accepting unwholesome, your mind is protected. And the proximate cause, the proximate causes for the arising of sati are strong perception and the four foundations of mindfulness. In order to be mindful of an object, strong and firm perception of it is necessary. As much as senior perception is firm, strong, and steadfast, your mindfulness will also be firm, strong, and steadfast. The two functions of perceptions are the recording and the recognition of formation, irrespective of their wholesome or unwholesome nature. Senya, perception is compared to the recording of talks with the help of tape or recorder. A clear, high quality recording is a cause for a clear, strong, impressive listening experience. Mindfulness when replaying the recording. In the same way, in the practice of our practice, a strong, clear-cut perception, that means a strong, clear-cut noting or labeling of the object is very supportive of strong, clear-cut mindfulness. Another approximate cause for the arising of sati is the four foundations of mindfulness. So that is, mindfulness itself is the cause of mindfulness. So in fact, the development of mindfulness is the result of your continuous momentum one moment of mindfulness causing the next. So this can be compared to the process of acquiring an education, assuming that a student is diligent and does his homework regularly and respectfully. Lessons learned in the lower grades are the cause for learning lessons in the higher grade. Primary school education is the cause for high school education, and this in turn serves as the cause for uh, university education. So mindfulness leads to ever greater and stronger mindfulness. So your present mindfulness is really important. And then immediacy. Immediacy in the awareness of an object of observation is also important. Nothing should come between your presently arising object and your noting mind. Nothing should come between. The arising object and the noting mind should not be separated in time. The observation of the presently arising object should happen at once without any delay. It should be instant. As soon as the object of observation arises, it should be noted, it should be observed. If your noting is delayed, then the object we have already passed by the time your awareness turns to it. Objects of the past, object of the future cannot be known correctly. You cannot get ultimate reality in this past and future. And if the attention cannot remain with objects as they arise, then it is no longer vipassana. It's no longer satipatthana practice. It is no longer dwelling in the reality. You cannot get the ultimate reality. So when two or more processes occur at the same time, it is the phenomena of concurrence. Concurrence of the noting mind and the object is an important aspect of sati. For example, when an object arises, your noting mind falls on the object simultaneously with its arising, synchronically with it. So you are developing sati, you are practicing satipatthana. Satipatthana, four foundations of mindfulness. Patthana pa, specifying that your mindfulness should be of an extraordinary or outstanding nature, excessive, intensive, and persistent. Ordinary mindfulness is out of place in intensive Satipatthana meditation. Satipatthana. So pa means bakandana, that means your mindfulness is rushing or leaping or plunging to the present object. As soon as the object arises, as soon as you hear the sound, you just note hearing and capture very pure hearing. Who make the sound, you don't know, just hearing. Capture it, the sound is beautiful, ugly, you don't know, just pure phenomena of the hearing. So as soon as the object arises, your mind has to rush forward towards into the object of your observation with great force, with courage. So it attacks the object without hesitation, without thinking, imagining, fantasizing, commenting. So several aspects are involved in rushing. So yogi should not be noting and observing in a stop and go manner. Your awareness, your sati should not be sluggish, casual, not lagging behind or late, not gazing. Yogi are very awakened. It should be without wandering mind, with no room for thoughts, because the whole life we are thinking and thoughts overwhelm in our life. Always thinking, imagining, commenting. But in the intensive practice, no room for thoughts, no thinking, ever noting. So the noting and observing should not be in a cool and hesitating manner. Instead, your sati must be rushing in a systematic and orderly manner. Noting one take over everything, your sati take over all the phenomena. It is like a rice farmer when harvesting paddy needs to firmly grasp a bushel of rice. Only then that farmer will be able to cut it with a sickle. In the same way, when yogi has to firmly grasp the object so that the mind will neither slip off nor lose the object under observation. As your sati becomes steadfast, you will be able to firmly seize cross objects. With more practice, more training, your attention can hold on to more refined objects and eventually even very subtle object can be firmly grasped by sati. Sati is getting stronger and faster, so your skill getting better. So yogi should first try to grasp physical object before attempting to see the more subtle type of mental objects like intention, thoughts, etc. So because of this, we recommend in the beginning, rising, falling, the primary object, that is rupa, it is physical, and it is great elements. So the noting mind must cover the objects of observation completely, spreading over the entire object, enveloping it, grasping it in its entirety. Not just a part of the object must be observed, but the object should be noted and observed from the beginning through its middle to its end. And noting and observing of the arising object of observation should be continuous. There is one moment of mindfulness connected to the next moment of mindfulness, moment after moment. The preceding moment of mindfulness should be connected with the succeeding moments of mindfulness. So your sati should be sustained. If there is a gap between two floor planks, dust and sand may enter. If there is no continuity of mindfulness, there is a gap, then kilesa may enter. So in the olden days, people had to start a fire by rubbing two sticks together. If he fails to rub continuously, but instead takes a rest and resume rubbing later, no fire will start. So in the same way, if sati is not continuous, the fire of pinya, wisdom, will not ignite. So noting and observing sati should not have gaps but be continuous. It should not proceed in a stop and go manner. People who practice in fits and starts, resting occasionally and then starting again, be mindful for a stretch and then stopping to daydreams. These yogis are called Chameleon Yogis. And the nature, dukkha, anatta, the true nature of the phenomena, the universal characteristics of anatta, non-self, can be applied to the process of noting the arising namarupa, arising physical and mental phenomena. So meditators must take great care to watch the object of observation without manipulating, controlling, or governing them. Yogi should simply observe what is there. So in this Mahasatipatthana Sutta is mentioned Kaye Kaya Nupasi Viharati Atapi Sambhajano Satima, etc. A bhikkhu dwells contemplating the body in the body. What kinds of body? Contemplating the body in the body, which is impermanent, unsatisfactory, non-self and ugly, ardent, clearly comprehension and mindful. So real phenomena of the Kaya Vedana Chitta Dhamma, body, feeling, consciousness and Dhamma are impermanent, suffering and non-self. So this is the true nature of the phenomena. So we should not manipulate. We want the body permanent. We want body satisfactory. We want body self. We want body beautiful. So it is not the true way. Yogi should observe the nature of phenomena, Kaya Vedana Chitta Dhamma, as they really are. So that is the correct observation. So can you follow me? A bhikkhu dwells contemplating the body in the body, which is impermanent, unsatisfactory, non-self, and ugly, ardent, clearly comprehending and mindful. A bhikkhu dwells contemplating the feeling in the feelings, which is impermanent, suffering, and non-self. A bhikkhu dwells contemplating the consciousness in the consciousness, which is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and non-self. A bhikkhu dwells contemplating the Dhamma in the Dhammas, which is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and non-self. So yogi should observe the nature of phenomena as they really are. Don't manipulate, don't manage, don't expect that phenomena permanent, satisfactory, safe and beautiful. So try to understand the nature of phenomena as they really are, impermanent, suffering and non-self. So we will continue next time. We have to stop our discourse for today. May you who build Ariyavasa, the abode of noble ones, may you dwell in this Ariyavasa, the abode of noble ones, by practicing vipassana meditation, by developing mindfulness, by noting, rising, falling, sitting, touching, seeing, hearing, continuously and meticulously. May all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future.